The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now, 865-243-TALK. That's 243-8255. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
This is the Patrick Riggins Show. Spinning some Metallica, For Whom the Bell Tolls. And for someone this Tuesday, it shall toll for thee. We are here on the radio station where common sense and logic prevails. At least on this show anyway. 100.3 WNOX. We are pumping out 100,000 watts of power, saturating the East Tennessee Valley, reaching 5 states and 2 time zones. We are also worldwide on the internet. So no matter where you are on this earth, if you have internet access, or I guess I should say unrestricted internet access, you can watch and listen to this show online. Just go to www.wnoxfm.com. There you can witness history in the making, the early years of a soon-to-be national phenomenon, and you can say you were there. That address again is wnoxfm.com. Sitting here with me, nursing a bottle of alcohol after the UT game yesterday, is Tori. I'm kidding. He's not sitting here drinking.
No, but yesterday during the UT ball game, yes. But
yeah, that was interesting. I figured you and Spanky will have a good show today.
Yeah.
So nothing like watching 2 high school teams play in a big stadium.
Duke it out on the big spotlight
on a college field.
Well, we won.
Yeah, so. Barely. But I guess a win's a win. You know, I think that's kind of a...
Not really.
Yeah, exactly. If they're putting up the kind of yards they did.
For whom the bell tolls.
For whom, yeah, that may be apply in more than one place. that may be tolling over there at UT.
Keep an eye out or in a thrift store near you for orange pants sales coming up here very soon.
Exactly. All the moving companies are already lining up and dropping off business cards at UT. All right. Thank you again.
Isn't there something important going on this Tuesday? What's happening this Tuesday? I've heard rumors of something.
We get to choose between 2 appointed people. So, you know, it's kind of...
Is there going to be a winner?
Well, one of them will be a winner. We probably won't be. It depends on how you define winner. If you mean higher taxes, then yeah, we're not winners. And more of the same. More of the same, exactly. All right, thank you again for tuning in this week to the Patrick Riggins Show. If you haven't guessed by now, I am Patrick Riggins. And you would not believe how hard it was for me to find a radio show or radio station starting a Patrick Riggins Show. You see, I wanted to get on the radio, but I knew it would be hard. The first thing I had to do was to find a radio station with a Patrick Riggins radio show, but no Patrick Riggins to host it. Luckily, WNOX had the show, and when I applied for the job, I had a real good feeling I would get it. Because of everyone applying, I was the only one whose name was the same as the radio show, and as luck would have it, I got the job. And now you get to hear some of the most common sense and logical analysis available on the radio today. Speaking of which, I wanted to start the show this week by answering a statement that I've heard kicked around quite a bit lately, and that is one of not voting. That if I don't agree with either candidate, then why should I vote? I've addressed this before on this show, but with the numbers of people who are tuning in, and it's growing more and more each week, I want to be sure the new people are up to speed on this particular aspect of this show. To start out, if you don't feel like trying to write all this down or you're driving, this show will be posted on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show. So if you need to remember something or trying to recount what I said to a friend, just direct them to that YouTube address where not only will they get the message on why they need to vote, but more clear thinking and logical analysis about the issues affecting their life. Who knows, they may even start agreeing with you. But getting back to my point, the reason you need to go vote is because what it says about you. It lets the politicians know there is one more person out there watching what they are doing and cares enough to go vote. Even if your guy or gal doesn't win, it shows support for the position they were backing. And that makes an impact on what the winning side thinks it can get done or get away with. If you don't vote, it tells the winning side as well as the losing side that they don't have to pay attention to what you have to say, because you aren't going to vote them in or out of office if they don't listen to you or your group. Look at the voter turnout. Even in presidential elections, we're only getting a little over half the eligible people voting. Half. And you wonder why politicians don't bother listening to what you have to say. They don't care. They know if their base votes for them, and there are people who would vote for Hitler if he was a Democrat or Republican. If that base turns out, they'll be in office. There aren't enough non-affiliated people voting for it to matter to the major parties. By increasing the numbers of people who are voting for a third-party candidate, it sends a clear message that our population is growing and the issues we push will stop being ignored. Now, will it happen overnight? Of course not. But mark my words, it will happen. Just look at how the conservative media has grown. Although I'd argue it really isn't all that conservative, but you can see how the people who make money see the writing on the wall. They know where the audience is politically. So we are making progress. After all, you know the government is going to be the last thing to catch on to a tide within the government, but eventually it will get caught up, if for no other reason than to be able to get elected. I don't care if they believe in what they're doing or not. As long as they're doing it, then who cares? Some people might say they're only voting to restore our rights and liberties because they want to get reelected. Well, so? Are we meeting our goals? Then who cares who gets the congratulations? I sure don't. See, I host a radio show, but I'm not a radio show host. A radio show host insists on getting credit for creating movements and for making or breaking politicians when they really have nothing to do with it. They can only put out the ideas. People make things happen. I am here on this radio show to urge you to action, to try and create within you a stirring, to light a small ember and have it grow. I want you to tell your friends about this show. I want it to become one of the most popular shows on the air. And with the numbers we're attracting each week, that goal isn't too awfully far away. But my point is, I'm not doing it for me. I'm not doing it so I can be famous. I'm doing it because I think it is what is best for this country. That libertarianism is closer to what this country is all about than any other ideas. But now, is it perfect? No, nothing is. We're all humans. As such, nothing we do will be perfect. And not being able to achieve perfection, we try to get as close to it as we can. But we never stop striving to do better, to improve on what we're doing. But the first step is to vote, to make your voice heard. Now, we're up on the first segment, or first break here of the Patrick Riggins Show. When we come back, we'll have some information or some stuff about Hurricane Sandy and TSA, a couple other things. Stay with us. It's a great show. It'll just be packed with goodness. This is Patrick Riggins. We'll return after these messages.
Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Well, to start off the second segment of the show today, I want to run the risk again, as I did last week, of making some of you, the listening audience, mad. And again, just like last week, if I do, I apologize in advance, but it is because I want to keep you thinking about things from a libertarian perspective. Now, we had Hurricane Sandy hit the Northeast, and it caused quite a bit of devastation and wreaked havoc over a large swath of the eastern United States. Do you ever notice during these disasters that the president tells these people, we'll give you whatever you need? The problem is, when you do that, people aren't careful with the money and supplies you give them. They'll take whatever you send without regard to whether really they need it or not. There's no accountability. Every time we have something like this happen, we throw money at it like there's no tomorrow. And fortunately, there is a tomorrow, and at some point, we're going to have to pay it back. I'm not saying we shouldn't help these people, but private charity would do a far better job and be more efficient than the government. You don't believe that? Well, both President Obama and Governor Christie said they were going to get government out of the way so supplies could flow more efficiently to the storm-ravaged areas. Am I the only one getting this? What? Why not keep government out of the way? Just keep it out of the way. That's the problem. By throwing money at these types of things, we're supposed to show how much we care But money isn't a measure of caring. Just look at children who are raised by parents who try to buy their love. It doesn't work. Governor Christie has Obama up there because he wants the federal government, which is us, the taxpayers of this nation. Government Christie wants all of us to bail out his state for the storm that hit them. Now, did we send the storm up there? Did any of us go up there and tear the heck out of their infrastructure? Was I up there looting? Okay, well, if none of this is my fault, then why am I paying for it? Here's a little history lesson for you. In 1794, James Madison was asked to sign a $15,000 appropriation for French refugees. Now, a lot of you have heard this quote over and over again, but his response was, "I cannot undertake to lay my finger on that article of the Constitution which granted a right to Congress of expending on objects of benevolence the money of their constituents." Now, just 2 years later in the House of Representatives, William Giles of Virginia condemned a relief measure for fire victims. He insisted that it was not the purpose nor the right of Congress to attend to what generosity and humanity require, but what the Constitution and their duty require. Davy Crockett, yes, the same Davy Crockett you've all read about, in 1827 he was elected to the House of Representatives. During his first term of office, a $10,000 relief bill for the widow of a naval officer was proposed. Part of the speech in opposition to this bill that Davy Crockett gave stated, "We must not permit our respect for the dead or our sympathy for the living to lead us into an act of injustice to the balance of the living." If that sounds complicated, he is stating that we should not let our emotions for neither the dead nor the living overrule our sense of justice for the rest of us and cause us to act in an unjust way. Now, he further said, "I will not attempt to prove that Congress has no power to appropriate this money as an act of charity. Every member upon this floor knows it." So here he is saying that he is not going to restate the obvious. Everyone sitting in that chamber knows Congress does not have the power to give taxpayers' money away to another individual as charity. Mr. Crockett concluded his speech with, "We have the right as individuals to give away as much of our own money as we please to charity. But as members of Congress, we have no right to appropriate a dollar of the public money." Also in 1854, President Franklin Pierce vetoed an extremely popular bill intended to help the mentally ill. It was championed by the renowned 19th century social reformer Dorothea Dix. So here is a president who is being pressured by an outspoken activist along with her allies in Congress, yet he stood strong. And here's what he said: "I cannot find any authority in the Constitution for public charity. To approve such spending would be contrary to the letter and the spirit of the Constitution and subversive to the whole theory upon which the Union of these states is founded." So here's a president standing up for not giving away taxpayers' money to other citizens in the form of charity, no matter that it was a popular bill, no matter that it pulled at the emotional heartstrings of the population, no matter it was being pushed by a prominent activist. President Pierce stuck to his guns. Not being alone, though, President Grover Cleveland rejected hundreds of congressional spending bills during his 2 terms as president because, as he often wrote on the bills, "I can find no warrant for such an appropriation in the Constitution." Yet, whenever any type of disaster occurs, and it doesn't even have to be a large-scale disaster, it can be something small, only affecting a small interest group, we immediately declare it a disaster so federal money can be poured into an area with abandon, converting as many citizens as possible to cheerleaders for the federal government. We don't have the money for this. It amazes me how all these Republican politicians will moan and cry about the debt, but they will still step up and beg the federal government for money when something in their state goes wrong. We are spending money we don't have. That's the problem in too many parts of this country. I want something, but I don't want to pay for it. We are a nation of beggars and children. If we don't get the money we're begging for, we throw a tantrum until we do. We don't want to help ourselves. We want others to do the work for us while we sit back and watch. These people don't want to give up what they have. They don't want to give up their money. They want everyone else to give up some of theirs and give it to them. Is it right to take money from the rest of the country and give it to people in these affected areas? Is that okay to do? Well, of course not. Do you actually think that people would not voluntarily send money to help those through private charities? Sure they would. They do it all the time. All the government does is take money from you, pay a bunch of excessive salaries with it, and then give about 1% or even less to the people. Why not give to a public or a private charity and have almost 100% of it go to help someone? You would be getting more money to the people who need it most instead of paying a bloated bureaucracy salaries. Now, listen to this audio clip real quick. This is a American citizen named Donna Solly talking to Senator Chuck Schumer as he was touring the devastated areas of New York. Now, keep in mind, this is an American citizen.
With gasoline, you're going to bring food and gasoline and clothes and gasoline to run generators. Bring us generators. Bring us something to get heat. We're going to die if we get killed with the weather. We're going to die. We're going to freeze.
We're going to die. We're going to freeze unless the government brings us gasoline and generators. This is the American spirit? This is what we're reduced to? I talked about this on my last couple of shows about how people line up at these presidential debates to beg for gifts and favors from the candidates in the federal government. Please, Mr. Romney, Mr. Obama, please give me something for voting for you. How are you going to help my personal situation? How are you going to fix my life? How are you going to take care of me? I'm special, Mr. Romney, Mr. Obama. I'm special because my mom told me I was special. My teachers in the government schools all told me I was special. My college advisors all tell me I'm special. I'm such a good robot citizen, Mr. Romney, Mr. Obama. Tell me how the government is going to help me run my life so I can rest easy. Tell me how it is going to take care of me, how it is going to provide everything I need to live, how it is going to give me a job so I can feel good about myself. Tell me how it's going to call me a big boy when I go poopy all by myself. Tell me how it is going to soothe my diaper rash if I don't make it to the bathroom in time. It is all absolutely pathetic. That is the only thing you can say. Here's another clip of the same woman.
President Obama, please listen to us down here. We are going to die. You don't understand. You've got to get your trucks here on this corner now. This is 3 days.
3 days. 3 days. And everyone is already going to die. Pathetic and sad, really, that our country has come to this. Pull up your bootstraps and help yourself. Stop waiting for the government to be your daddy. Put on your big girl or big boy underwear and start back with your life. The amazing thing is no one is telling these people to shape up. Well, I guess I am, but unfortunately, I fear I'm probably the lone voice on both radio and TV because it isn't politically correct to say something like that. To point out that we have neither the money and, more importantly, we don't have the constitutional authority to do these types of things. This is a blatant taking of taxpayer money and giving it to another citizen for no other reason than the government wants to be seen as compassionate. And as I said, create more and more little cheerleaders for a strong and overbearing central government in Washington, D.C. So I just have to tell you that listen to those two things. It just really just sickens me. That's a fellow human being's spirit and character that has been so wrecked by the policies of the federal government because they've been taught that that's the answer. Federal government's the answer. All right, we're up on the bottom of the hour here on the Patrick Regan Show. We'll be back after these messages with a lot more. And, well, we'll see what we get to here. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show. Some people ask, who picks that music? That would be moi. And I picked that out for Tori because Tori's anniversary was last week, correct?
It was Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah, this last week. So
1 year.
Yeah, I tried to warn him. I tried to tell him you can be drafted. Don't go enlist.
Yeah, he was also one of the few people to appear at the wedding. Trying to talk me out of it.
I was there. He
tackled me. And
I was trying to put him back in the car. You don't want to do this. It's not worth it. Life will get better, I promise.
I still have marks from the duct tape. Thank you.
And it would have held, if you didn't have that little knife on you and cut your way out. But yeah, he got married.
Southern boy never goes anywhere without his knife.
Yeah, exactly. Well, except school.
No.
Yeah, I used to carry a knife at school, but now if you do that, you're branded a terrorist. And
even a plastic butter knife, yes.
Yeah, they'll
But we all had
you.
pocket knives back when I was in school. But
nobody was killing each other. But
no killing.
Oh, well, that's another show. Even after that longer half-hour break, that audio clip still bothering me. Let's just listen to that one more time.
President Obama, please listen to us down here. We are going to die. You don't understand. You've got to get your trucks here on this corner now. This is 3 days.
I'd be embarrassed for anyone to see me begging for President Obama or any president to come rescue me. I can't even imagine having my parents see that or friends of my parents seeing that. Hey, Mr. Riggins, isn't that your son on TV there crying about not having the government take care of him? Anyway, getting back to this whole storm thing, I have a couple clips of the president and his new apostle, Governor Christie, and we'll start with Mr. Christie.
I discussed all those issues today with the president, and I'm pleased to report that he has sprung into action immediately to help get us those things while we were in the car riding together.
Isn't that great? Isn't the president so dreamy? Boy, I hope he chooses me to be his girlfriend instead of Governor Christie. I don't know, though. He likes the governor so much, he actually called from the Secret Service car they were riding in together and made all the arrangements to take care of everything. Now, come on, Governor Christie. This is the oldest game in the book. He's just trying to impress you so you'll go back to his hotel after the little date you two were on. More than likely, he called his voicemail or his friend's voicemail. Hey, FEMA, yeah, I want you to get Governor Christie whatever he wants. When he wants it, right now. You hear me? Right now.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
Oh, just ignore that, Governor Christie. I was talking to FEMA and something happened there. Now that I've got you that assistance, how about you and me head back to my hotel?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on, Governor. Every guy's picked up the phone and acted like he was calling his broker or his banker or his realtor in order to impress his date. President Obama wasn't calling anyone from that car, despite what you want to believe. It was like we were watching a screwed up version of that old show, The Dating Game. And thank you, Tori, the show producer, demonstrating why he's the best in the business. A little dating game theme music there.
Thank you.
Really, though, it's like an episode of that game show. Our first contestant is from New Jersey, Governor Chris Christie. Go ahead with your first question, Mr. Christie. Bachelor number one. My state has been hit by a big, nasty storm. What would you do to help me? Of course, Obama would be, well, I will send you all the federal assistance you need, courtesy of the good old American taxpayer. No, I mean courtesy of me. I sent that. That's all me taking care of that. Ooh, sounds exciting, Bachelor number one. Yeah? Well, I'd also federalize the response in your state. Would you like that too? Ooh, bachelor number one. I would love that. Would you now? Babe, I would federalize you all night, every night, until you tell me to stop. But even then, I'll still leave a little bit of me behind, so you can remember me and our time together. I mean, did anyone else feel like a third wheel on a two-person date during that press conference? I don't think Governor Christie could have crawled any further up Obama than he did. I mean, here's Governor Christie. The president actually called while I was sitting right there and took care of everything. Isn't he just the best boyfriend? I mean, please. As I said, Governor Christie was falling for the oldest game in the book. Speaking of the president, I have a few clips from him, starting with this one.
I want to thank the congressional delegation because part of the reason we're going to be able to respond quickly to all this is because they helped to make sure that FEMA financing was in place. And we're very appreciative of those efforts.
So, the president appreciates Congress approving that money, that taxpayer money, so it would be available to give away to all these people up here who he wants to vote for him on Tuesday.
We are here for you, and we will not forget. We will follow up to make sure that you get all the help that you need until you've rebuilt. What that means is that people can immediately start registering for emergency assistance.
Oh, how nice. He's going to make sure you get all the money you need until you have rebuilt. Well, let's see. With all the damage up there, that'll probably be about 3 or 4 years, I guess. And you don't even have to wait. You can sign up right now to start getting those government checks rolling in.
What that allows you to do is to register right now so that you can immediately start receiving help. You know, we want to make sure that you get everything that you need.
See, like I just said, sign up right now to start getting that government money coming. But it isn't just good old American cash. When the president said he is sending anything and everything that they needed, he meant it.
And in other places where transportation may be hobbled, one of the things I mentioned to the governor is the possibility of us using federal assets, military assets, as well as taking inventory of assets from around the country that can be brought in so that we can help people get to their work.
So now, not only is the rest of the country going to be supporting you, we're also going to be paying to get you to work. Because obviously we were responsible for causing your predicament. I mean, if we're having to pay for it, then we must be the ones that caused it, right? Otherwise, why would we be asked to pay for something that isn't our fault? Oh, that's right. We live in America where everything is our fault. No one is responsible for anything in their lives. We're all supposed to suffer equally no matter what. So, from this, can I assume that those people are going to be helping me pay my gas bill this month if I'm a little short? The sad thing is, I could probably find some government program that would do that very thing. Now, if you want to hear something interesting, listen to Governor Christie at the Republican National Convention this last August.
Now, our founding fathers had the wisdom to know that social acceptance and popularity were fleeting, and that this country's principles needed to be rooted in strains greater than the passions and the emotions of the times. But our leaders today have decided it's more important to be popular, to say and do what's easy, and say yes rather than to say no, when no is what is required.
Now, is he saying no when no is required? I don't think so. Typical of a politician from either side. How quickly he changes his tune when he wants something.
In recent years, we as a country have too often chosen the same path. It's been easy for our leaders to say, not us, not now, in taking on the really tough issues. And unfortunately, we've stood silently by and let them get away with it. But tonight, I say enough.
Okay, Governor Christie, enough. Enough of the federal government robbing other taxpayers and giving the money to other citizens for purely charitable reasons. As I talked about in the previous segment of the show, it isn't constitutional, and many past presidents have stated as such. Now, we're up on the last break here. we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll have a little bit more, and we'll try to get your calls in for the end of the show. This is Patrick Riggins. We'll be back.
Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show. I think I'm going to pick up a little bit on what we're talking about here. It seems like I've kind of spent the whole show on this, but I think it is very instructive. Very, very instructive. Here's another clip from Governor Christie at the Republican National Convention.
We believe in telling hardworking families the truth about our country's fiscal realities, telling them what they already know. The math of federal spending does not add up. With $5 trillion in debt added over the last 4 years, we have no other option but to make the hard choices, cut federal spending, and fundamentally reduce the size of this government.
So I guess the math of cutting federal spending doesn't apply to him when he wants it. I have preached it over and over on this radio show. Too many people in this country want what's yours. They talk a really good game until the rubber hits the road. Then they are the first ones lining up at the federal government trough. What happened to, we can't afford it, Governor?
They believe that the American people don't want to hear the truth about the extent of our fiscal difficulties. They believe the American people need to be coddled by big government.
No. As we know now, you also think the American people want to be coddled by big government, just like the Democrats. If you're going to talk the talk, Governor Christie, we're going to expect you to walk the walk.
The slowest economic recovery in decades, a spiraling out of control deficit, and an education system that's failing to compete in the world. It doesn't matter how we got here. There's enough blame to go around. What matters is what we do now.
And what we do now is pour out more federal money. That's the answer? You said there's enough blame to go around. I guess we can blame you for begging President Obama for our money to help out your state.
I don't want my children and grandchildren to have to read in the history book what it was like to live in an American century. I don't want their only inheritance to be an enormous government that is overtaxed, overspent, and overborrowed a great people into second-class citizenship. I want them to live in a second American century.
Yeah, Governor Christie. Have you forgotten this speech completely between August and now? You never really believed what you were saying at the Republican convention, did you? If you did, you wouldn't be going on dates with the president, trying to prostitute yourself out for federal government aid, money that's coming directly out of everyone's pocket. Now, in this next clip, he talks about what American exceptionalism is.
Where real American exceptionalism is not a political punchline, but is evident to everyone in the world just by watching the way our government conducts its business every day and the way Americans live their lives.
Yeah, we can see what you think of that by the way you are conducting government business and the way you are forcing your citizens to live their lives, encouraging them to beg for scraps from the government. They're only following the lead of their governor.
Where our military is strong, our values are sure, our work ethic is unmatched, and our Constitution remains a model for anyone in the world struggling for liberty.
Yeah, our Constitution is a model for anyone struggling for liberty. Just don't mimic Governor Christie, who talks a lot about liberty, personal responsibility, but sure doesn't practice any of it. This is so indicative of the whole government machine, from Washington all the way down to the local level. These guys all believe in government answers to everything. I don't care how many times they say they don't. Just look at their actions. Your actions speak so loudly, I cannot hear what you're saying. If you stand on a national stage, Governor Christie, and preach to all of us about how we need to spend less and limit government, but then go out and at the first sign of trouble go running to Washington for help, then you are not worthy of being a representative of the people. You are no leader. Really, you're an embarrassment to your state and to this country, along with all the poor people you are helping to enslave to government by convincing them they cannot do for themselves. if the citizens of your state had any self-respect, they would recall you and put in someone with more backbone and unshakable convictions. This is what I mean when I say it's going to be up to you, my listeners, and everyone else you can convince to listen to this show. It is up to us to make the changes in government, because these people are not going to do it. They are going to sell us out at the first sign of trouble. I mean, they are doing it right now as I speak. So I ask you, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit out there and let it happen? Are you going to tell me that you aren't going to participate in the system? I'll tell you this, the system is going to go on without you, and eventually it is going to be knocking at your front door. Then what are you going to do? Shoot it out with the government? Brother, you're going to lose that. They have the guns, they have the people, and they have the laws backing them. And when you have that glorious shootout, not one person outside your family is going to care nor remember you. You will have died for nothing because your death didn't bring about anything. On the other hand, if you rally your friends together, get good candidates to run, work your butt off to get them elected, then we can make a change that matters. Because we'll be changing the very system that you claim now no longer represents you. We won't have anyone shooting it out with the authorities because they won't be bothering you. We will have a government in place that respects its citizens and their natural God-given rights. But it isn't going to happen with you sitting out there week after week listening to me talk about it on the radio. If that is all you do, sit out there and say, well, boy, Patrick's making some good points this week. If that's all you do, then we're going to be sitting here talking about it 10 years from now. That is, if they haven't passed some sort of law to limit speech that could be deemed inflammatory or offensive to those who love government answers to everything. How much time we got, Tori? 3 minutes? Okay, we're going to jump to Sandy real quick. Sandy, I got about a minute and a half. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Patrick. Love your program. By the way, what I wanted to say is that most of those people, for example, in Staten Island, those were hardworking people.
Yep.
They are not people that are on welfare. They are not people that line up for food stamps. And when they had a disaster that was out of their control. And when you go into shock, they have no food, they have no money, they have available right then, and they are at the mercy of somebody coming and putting a blanket around them and saying it's going to be better.
Sure.
We give money to everybody in the world.
We shouldn't be doing that either, as you know.
Pardon me?
We shouldn't be doing that either, as you know.
Maybe we shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But and you've got a very good point, and I listened to what you said, and I do agree with that. But if we can give to every country in the world, when our people are standing there in shock, begging for help, we should acknowledge our people. The very fact that Obama and them can entertain people and musicians every week of the year and spend the way they have spent while he's been in office is outrageous.
It is. It is truly outrageous. And I see your point exactly, that if we're going to be spending money, why not spend it on ourselves?
You know, he called the president down in Mexico, and he reminded him to make sure that the Mexicans that come up here into the United States, to be sure and tell them that they can sign up for food stamps.
Yeah,
What for?
No. Yeah, exactly.
If they can't manage to bring enough money with them to live and sustain themselves till they can become a citizen, they shouldn't be here. They sure wouldn't let us go to Mexico and go in and say, okay, I'm ready to sign up for food stamps. I want Section 8. I want this. I want that. But everybody can do that here.
They would certainly kick you out. I'm up on the last of the show,
okay.
Cindy.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you so much for listening. We enjoy having you on here.
Get a little bit excited sometimes.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. There we go. This is the last of the show here, and she does make a point. But like I said, the fact is we don't have the money for this. So anyway, you want more information about me or the show, go to facebook.com/Patrick Riggins Show. Also youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show. Let's see. Yeah, we're up on the end here. You can also email me, patrickriggins@gmail.com. Join me next Sunday afternoon where once again we'll talk about freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. This is Patrick Riggins, and we'll see you next Sunday afternoon from 2 until 3. Have a great week.
Join us again next week for a solid dose of truth on The Patrick Riggins Show. Every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. Be there.